It is Bruins Benders post-game live on the Inside the Rink YouTube channel with Matty and Connor tonight. Click subscribe, get your Bruins Benders merch on InsideTheRink.com/Bruins-Benders. Follow us on social media and on X at Bruins Benders. Tonight, the Bruins, boy, epic fail at the end. Give up 2 empty net goals to Ottawa and lose 6-5 in the shootout. Ottawa gets the extra point, virtual tie. Now with the Senators, this is 2 points you absolutely had to have and had it.
Absolutely needed to have it. And one of the things that we privately have been talking about all week is the Bruins were going to be sitting and resting while a lot of other teams around them played, and we're going to have an opportunity to take points. They did. The Bruins came into today, watching the scoreboard around the league, and they needed to get some points today. They got one, but they gave the 2 most important points up to one of the people chasing them in the standings, which really is self-inflicted wound. You and Smitty have been talking about the goals given up in the last 2 minutes of a period, although I think the chart that we have, and we can take a peek at it in a few minutes, states them not with a goaltender pulled, but I may be mistaken.
Oh, correct.
But it's a theme with the Bruins. In the last 2 minutes of a period, you have them completely vulnerable. As soon as they tied that game, I texted you guys a capital L. And I felt it coming from there that they were going to eventually tie it up, and this was going to be a loss. And lo and behold, the Bruins did not disappoint in that regard, but they absolutely disappointed today. And on the broadcast, I think it was Brick mentioned, the Bruins have to find a way to win the game. And right now, the Boston Bruins are finding every which way to lose a game.
Yeah, and it's kind of the story of the season, really. All the things that come about when they fail are the same sort of things. Can't get it clear. Elias Lindholm has a puck on his stick. I thought he was atrocious tonight. I just thought he wasn't very good at all. I thought Charlie Coyle wasn't great. He had the puck on his stick with a minute left and the net pulled and no pressure. So either dump that in deep or continue to hold on to it, and maybe you guys can get something on the backhand and get a clear look. But instead, he just throws it into legs, and then they're coming back the other way. Like, that's just not a good play. You have no pressure on you. You have the puck. There's another teammate lateral to you. You have some rush and you have time, and he just tries to go for the empty net, and it's friggin' blocked. And then they're coming back the other way. And then the coverage, on some of these goals that they gave up tonight, not being able to clear it, then running around. Brandon Carlo is still just not great. Like he just doesn't look sure of himself at all. Like offensively tonight, it was Lettieri who made a great pass cross ice to him. He could have just tried a little bit of a push one-timer. It just heels off his stick. Later on, he has the puck up by the point. He tries another one-timer off the point. He flops it again, playing with a wet noodle, and just unsure of himself the whole time. I thought Lettieri was very good. Brazeau made a great pass to Lettieri for the goal. I thought he was really good. I thought Frederick was more into it. Of course, this is the type of game he likes. It gets his blood boiling. So that's good too for him. And, Geeky was very good. He missed a little bit of time checking with a trainer tonight, but I thought he was really good. He has 11 goals now. I mean, he could have get 20 goals this year for them, but it's the best players. It's the core guys who are letting them down again. And they've let them down too much this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a habitual thing over and over and over again. And, Sweeney mentioned that there's an issue with the roster construction. Yes. And the Bruins have been playing poorly, but a lot of it has now been them playing poorly on ice themselves as players. And I don't know that you can necessarily blame that on the management and the coaching staff, but obviously you could argue that, maybe there's an addition or two that this team could make to balance out the roster. But at this point, the Bruins are playing themselves out of, an argument for getting any help at the trade deadline at this point.
And I guess as a fan, you have to wonder if that's what you need or want or think is best for the team or not. I just think that just going to be look, Neely's words are the same as they've always been. If we're in it, we're going to try to continue to be in it. So I don't see this team falling off enough to not be in it in the next, month and a half. I just don't. So they're going to be in it, and they're going to try to make a move or two to make sure they can make the playoffs. So they're not going unless they lose 10 in a row right now. I just don't see it happening.
I mean, I don't even think they need to lose 10 in a row at this point. Like with the points percentage around them, they are just praying for the other teams in their conference to lose. And I don't think that's going to happen overall with all of these teams. And I think some of the teams below the next 3 or 4 in the standings, they have a chicken dick's chance at playing well enough to get back into the playoff race and making it interesting by the end of the year. And as we keep saying, the Bruins just continually show up to not show up.
They do. I mean, tonight. How about tonight? They're down 2-0. They don't have a shot on goal for the first 6 minutes until Pastrnak finally gets one on goal. Like, how do you not start better? How do you not show up on time in this game tonight where you're playing the team directly behind you or ahead of you, however you want to look at it? But you need to win 2 points on the road here. And then you have them again Thursday. You have a chance at 4 points against them to their 0. That's really what you need. And you start out flat as a pancake. Like, I know you haven't played since Tuesday, but shouldn't you be rested? Shouldn't you be ready to go? And shouldn't you be all fired up to play? You've got a huge crowd of Bruins fans. I mean, it sounded louder than the Garden at times, because when you're on the road as fans, you want to stick it to the home team, so you tend to be louder and more active. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what they were. So how do you not show up to that?
We've been asking ourselves this for 47 games now.
Right.
I think it is, why they can't show up.
Yeah.
Like
47.
Why is Matthew Pastrnak playing his ass off and being one of the better players on your team? Well, the easy answer is he doesn't want to go back to Providence and ride the bus. And he's one of the few players playing like they give a shit. Justin Brazeau knows he's in a contract year and he's trying to catch a bag next year. He's playing well.
Sure.
But some of the other ones are not. Some of these longer-term
guys who
Bruins
have
players
their
aren't
money,
the answer.
Yeah, some of the guys who have their money and have their long contracts are just at times not giving 100%. They're not playing 100% physically. I think they play harder, probably more than we give them credit for, but mentally they're not focused in it. I question some of the real desire of some of these guys, and I still think there's core guys on this team who think they'll make the playoffs, who think that they're better than the other teams. And you're right, they're running out of time where it's going to be out of their hands whether or not they make it or not. And that's what people have to understand. There's 35 games left, and other teams have 37, 38, 39 left. So the math doesn't work.
They can think that they're a playoff team all that they want. I think that I wake up every morning with washboard abs. We can both be delusional.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Never happened, never will. You know what I mean? And that's what's going to be the Bruins in 2024-25. It just never happened, never will. I mean, tonight, I think we're witnessing before our eyes here the decline of Charlie Coyle. And Coyle's been a good player for them. It was an excellent trade, but it's just not there for him. I mean, he played 19 minutes tonight.
We're watching the decline of 2 players on that line. Marchand was atrocious.
Yeah. Well, Marchand wasn't very good at all. No.
And we'll probably talk about this a little bit later as we get through the game, but I didn't notice him at all on the ice in overtime. And he wasn't in the shootout. So I'm almost convinced that he didn't play in overtime with the line combinations that they strolled out.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing him either. So maybe we'll get an update on that. I don't know, but I find it hard to believe they would bench him. Maybe he had something nagging, or I don't know. But early on in the game, the faceoffs were an issue. They tried to scramble and claw their way back, but faceoffs were an issue early. I thought Johnny Beecher actually played the best game I've seen him play in a while. I mean, I know he scored, but even beyond that, he had a great coverage play and clear where there was a guy wide open in front of the net in overtime, I think it was. And Beecher made a play. I don't know if it was overtime or toward the end of the game where Beecher made a play and swept it away. It was right before they scored and swept it away down the ice, and it was deflected and not icing. It was just a really good all-around play for Beecher, and I thought he was pretty good tonight. But again, it's the guys. He's a guy who's an RFA. Like, it's the guys who are playing for contracts, who are playing really well and trying to play consistently. And then there's guys who have their long contracts and their big money and aren't. And I don't want to be that guy that thinks that that's the case. And it probably isn't. But boy, it smells funny.
Yeah, and I mean, the more glaring part to me is the players that you expect to be part of the answer for the Boston Bruins, they are not. And it's the fringe players, the bottom six players, and the role players who are dragging them into the game. And that should be fucking criminal.
Mm-hmm. It should be. Beth says Marchand did not play in the OT, and he certainly wasn't there for the shootout. They went with Zacha as the third guy. Coyle is a good shootout player. He has 35% or so in his career. He's one of the better ones that they have, if not the best one statistically. And of course, Pastrnak. I mean, and I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to do, a short side, a 5-hole type play. But it just looks half-assed. You know what I mean? It just looks half-assed when he goes in. There were times tonight where Pastrnak, again, turned the puck over inside his own blue line or inside the opposing blue line. For a breakaway that Swayman had to make a huge save on early in the game, or the game would have gotten out of hand. So there were times tonight. Then there were other times where he actually played okay and he was possessing the puck. He actually possessed the puck through 2 or 3 line changes at one point, where he was maintaining the puck and making the right play and keeping possession. But again, still the same nonsense with him at times, and it makes people crazy. And he's one of the elite goal scorers in the league, and he's a better two-way player than anybody gives him credit for. But this year, there's times where he just doesn't look like he's 100% into it, or he just is careless and just lack of focus and thinks he can do whatever he wants on the ice, and it just doesn't look good at times from him.
It's not a recipe for success either.
No. And Lindholm tonight, he gets the unsportsmanlike, for whatever reason, after they score a goal to cut it to 2-1. He goes to the box. They're able to actually kill it and get the tying goal, but there are other times tonight with Lindholm just not great, not doing much offensively, just not getting it done. Just not getting it done for the amount of money he makes. And that's going to be, and Smitty had it from the get-go, it's going to be a contract you're going to hate the guts out of sooner than later, if not now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can pray that the Vancouver Canucks want that contract back, but we would be taking one of their potential dumpster fires. So, I mean,
yeah, whatever. Yeah, I mean, right now, honestly, and I know he has a no team list of 8 or whatever, I'd really be hard on the phone about Coyle. And they won't, because like Neely said, as long as they're in it, they're going to try to be a playoff team. But a savvy move would be to trade Coyle for whatever you could get. That's part of a retool while you're still not really hurting your team all that much.
Yeah, because you could probably get something decent for him because he's got the extra year on the contract.
Sure, he's got a playoff acumen. Sure.
With all the talk about the cap potentially going up more than 92 to 93 million and potentially being up in the 97 range, if that's the truth, having somebody on your team an extra year that's, cap controlled, under the old cap system, if you will, that can be a benefit to a team, like a Toronto or an Edmonton or a Colorado who's really cap strapped and trying to add meaningful pieces. But at that point, the Bruins are waving the white flag, and I don't know that they have the balls to do that in the middle of the season.
They don't have the balls to make a trade that could affect the nucleus, but still not hurt you and keep you in the mix.
They could
Right.
save the season, but their
Yes.
lack of being able to make a positive decision for the team will paralyze them and ruin the rest of the season and punt it to the offseason.
So what they're so concerned about the present and they're actually hurting the future is that they're going to continue to hurt the future and hurt the present because of their lack of movement and their lack of risk taking. That's what's going to happen. I mean, they're going to get a couple of depth guys or whatever, or nothing much at all, and they're going to roll with this team and potentially miss the playoffs, and you still haven't done anything for the future. And you have all these guys ending contracts, and then, I mean, you're going to give 4 years, $4.5 million to Trent Frederick? Please don't. Please don't. You know, I mean, I guarantee you, here's the next shoe to fall. Guarantee you that Morgan Geekie gets an extension.
Which,
Guaranteed.
sure. I mean, whatever. He's found some chemistry with Zacha and Pastrnak, and you've got those guys locked up. So if that's what you want to do, sure. You know, that could be your second line wing right there. That was their hope in their wet dream about Morgan Geekie when they signed him, is that, hey, you had limited role in Seattle. You put up a lot of points for the minutes that you played. We're going to give you a lot more opportunity here. Well, now he's finally getting that opportunity. And it looks to me like he's starting to feel it. He's starting to gain that chemistry. Just please, God, don't give him like a $6 or $7 million contract. I'd scream.
No, I mean, I don't look. Geekie's still not a top 6 winger on a really good team, a cup contender. If you want to win the cup, he's not a top 6 winger. He's a good third line player. Fine. And find the right pieces with him and give him $2.5 million a year or whatever for a couple of years. Fine. But
he's the guy that you sign for the middle money.
Yeah.
And he plugs that hole on the second line wing while you wait for the Lysell and the Merkelov to be able to take that full time. And then you trade the guy with a year or two left.
But here's the problem. You haven't given Lysell a half-ass's chance to show any of that. So now
he's on the roster. He's on the roster.
So now you have to. So now you feel like you have to extend him for another couple of years, and then you block Lysell. This is just stupid. Stupid asset management. Matthew Curtis officially out of the race after today. I don't know if that's true, but close. Might as well be.
They are, yes. I mean, if you want me to update you real quick on the standings, the Flyers did win today, who were chasing the Bruins. So they are now 2 points behind them. But for the wild card race, first wild card is now Ottawa at 50 points. Second wild card is Columbus at 50 points. Third and out of the playoffs is now the Boston Bruins at 50 points. The Toronto Maple Leafs fourth with 48 points, but they do play today against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they've been hot. So maybe they pass them. Who knows? And then, of course, Philadelphia is right there. And then Pittsburgh and Detroit are 6-7 with 46 points.
Everyone not named the Islanders is in it.
The Islanders and Buffalo are really the only two teams out of it. Detroit, Pittsburgh, 46 points. New York Rangers, 45 points. It's
unbelievable.
It's chaos. And if you look at
have games in hand.
Yes. And the New York Rangers, who are 8th, they have a 5-11 win percentage, but they've played a handful less games than most of the other teams there.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, you talk about the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel. And usually the light gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you get close to it. And for the Boston Bruins, that's getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
It sure is. I mean, how do you blow a 5-3 lead, says Craig Campbell. It's the Boston Bruins. Two goals with a goalie pulled. It's the puck management when you get it, when you're down 5 men to 6. Like, they had it on their stick multiple times with a chance to make a better play than they did, and they didn't. And there you have it. There you have it. And then it just becomes chaotic in front of the net. Guys are standing around. Guys are looking around. Guys are running around. Just no plan, no purpose. And it ends up in the net. T-Bot, start selling, not Sweeney's fault on this, not Sway's fault on this one. I didn't think so either. I mean, look, he's made 40-plus saves 3 games in a row. First time in 62 years that's happened. They gave up 47 shots, whatever the hell it was, 45 shots in the game. Just too much. They gave up, I think they've given up 288 these last 3 games, 288 shot attempts to like 160 or something. It's like absurd, the shot attempts they've allowed.
And somewhere in Boston,
out, but
Tuukka Rask is laughing his ass off.
His balls off, and I would be too. I really would be too.
And I think it's laughable that Swayman is getting so much more leash, where
if
this were Tuukka Rask and he were playing like this, there would be pitchforks and torches like Vancouver in 2011.
Absolutely. They'd be crushing him. And Swayman is not nearly the goalie Rask ever will be. Are you shitting me? It's unbelievable.
What? You can say that this loss isn't his fault, whatever. But in my opinion, he made one of the most egregious mistakes because of FOMO. Mm-hmm. And he tried like hell to shoot down the ice for a goalie goal with the empty net after seeing Nedeljkovic. It bounced off the back of a player, and within 20 seconds, it was fucking behind him in the net.
Yeah.
Just
that's
throw it off the boards and out. You would have had 2 points. You needed those 2 points.
Yeah, and it's on your stick, but you tried to go goalie goal because you're the
bulldog,
setter, baby. You're the market setter, big guy.
It's so frustrating.
In what world does Zacha go third and a fucking shooter, says Nick Principe? That's an interesting, and that was not a goal scorer's move either, Nick. So I agree with you. But Marchand being out, I don't know what happened there still. I have to look at it. But OT lines were a joke. Patra, Zadorov, and Lindholm. That was a stretch. I don't know what the hell that was. I mean, Zadorov, I thought played okay at times, but still, it's a hand grenade on his stick a lot. Positionally, he's so flat-footed sometimes. Like when he gets going, he can skate, but he is so flat-footed. I don't know if he's not playing with his knees bent or ready or what, but Jesus, he's like in cem sometimes.
He's also a big guy, so moving doesn't look like it's going very fast.
Yeah. Rest of the season schedule is difficult. I mean, you still have, Ottawa again, Colorado, Winnipeg coming up shortly. The Sharks game's a scary one. You're coming back after playing 3 hard divisional opponents, and you're playing the Sharks on a Monday afternoon after a snowstorm, and no one's going to be there. Like, it's just going to be like, I'm telling you, they might sleep through that one too.
You never know. Maybe Celebrini's juice to play in the Garden and lights up the world. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, he could. He scores a couple of goals and you lose 3-2. I could see it. Why on earth the Pasta shot through the legs is beyond me. Why didn't he shoot high? I don't know. He tried that 5-hole. He snipes it when he does that move he makes where he drags it and fires it far side high. Didn't go to it. Katie says, first time hopping on live. Usually listen to you guys on my drive to work next day. I'm a middle school teacher, and even my students spend homeroom bashing the Bruins. I'm gonna volunteer in your room, Katie. Thanks for jumping on, and thanks for listening. We appreciate it. I don't blame your students one iota. I mean, I was in classrooms a long time as a special ed guy, and love those kids, and they would be bashing them too. I mean, this team is just, it's hard. It's hard sometimes because they have talent. Do they have enough? No, they don't have enough to win the cup or whatever, but they have talent. And it's hard to fathom how badly and stupidly, like the IQ should be so much better on this team. And sometimes the IQ is so bad. And it's really the core guys a lot. And Neely has the nerve
Terrible decision making.
Neely has the nerve to say outscore your mistakes when that doesn't happen with 18 guys on the friggin' roster a night.
No,
like that doesn't happen. So if I was a young player, I'd tell him to go F himself. Like, honestly, like that's just, you're expecting your young guys to play perfectly.
Yeah. And I mean, it's fucking pathetic. Brad Marchand in his last 6 games is a -6, -7, and he's only got a goal and 2 assists.
Okay. Yeah.
Why? Like, bench him then. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, maybe they did in the overtime. Like, I'd have to
maybe
go back now and watch,
maybe they did.
Watch who was really at fault for those last 2 goals at the end of
one was
regulation.
Marchand because Brickley Brickley brought it up on the broadcast. Marchand was there in coverage, but not there. Like he says, Marchand's there in coverage, meaning he wasn't. And they scored that goal in front
He
of
was
the
a
net.
pillar.
Yeah.
Translation. He was standing there
He was
doing
standing
not a
there
fucking thing.
kicking his ass. And there you have it. And I don't hear, it says here, Marchand was moving slow on his final shift, but hard to tell if it was an injury or exhaustion. He was on for 133. Didn't close quick enough on Norris's tying goal. Yes. Did not take a shift in overtime. After that, there's no real update other than that. So it could be that maybe it's just he was on the bench.
It's his turn. It's his turn to answer the bell.
And he was on the bench. It says he was on the bench. So
look, Brad Marchand came out here and went for Rich Keefe's job after all this Pastrnak feud bullshit. David Pasternak's come out and he's fucking ringing the bell.
Yes.
And he's answering for it. Brad Marchand is wearing the C on his chest and he is flailing now.
He's deflecting the blame and deflecting everything. And who's to say he's not part of the issue? I mean, no one really everybody kind of just believes that there's no way he could be the issue. Maybe he is. Like maybe he's down on this thing. Maybe he wants to go to Colorado deep in his heart. Maybe he's like, you know what? I need a change. I'd love a change. I'd love to play with my buddy. Like maybe that's part of it. Maybe Pastrnak said to him in practice. Maybe he said to him, "Go play with your buddy Nathan, Marshy." You know, maybe he said that.
Yeah, maybe there was that feud when Marchand came out and threw him under the bus, and he said, "Fuck you, go play with Sid, go play with Mac, whatever." But at the end of the day, for you to be part of the problem in my eyes, or let me rephrase this: for your team to win the Stanley Cup, you need players to exceed their contract, play above their contract. Brad Marchand is playing fairly below what his contract value is. That is not a recipe for success. And yes, that should mean that you should get chirped by the media. You should be having to answer some of these questions on why you're not playing well. If the answer is, hey, I'm still banged up and trying to work through some stuff because I didn't get to, rehab this summer, God bless. But fucking say it. Or else you're going to continue to get skewered as you play worse and worse throughout the year and this team continues to flounder.
Yeah. Jeffrey Cashin is checking in originally from Boston, but now living in LA. So it's been a rough week for obvious reasons. Jeffrey, we hope you're safe. The escape is not the Bruins, unfortunately. But hopefully they get a win Monday and then on Thursday, and then they can kind of, get back into the fold here. But we definitely hope you're safe, Jeffrey. Really.
Yeah, I mean, Jeffrey can watch a dumpster fire live and on the television as a Bruins fan.
I know. My goodness. All right. What else do we have here? Let's just pile on, I guess. A bright spot, says Katie, was Patra. Any shot he gets time on the top line. I'm not opposed to it at this point, Katie. Am I a bad Bruins fan for hoping he gets traded somewhere that will value him and not punish growing pains?
Yes.
Boy, it's yeah. I'll tell you, it's just unbelievable the way that they just will not develop players in lieu of trying not to miss the playoffs. Like, it's so obvious and it's so harmful to the franchise. Again, they won. It's
coming to roost right now. This is why the team sucks. Again, like Don Sweeney was terrible at fucking drafting. And then he traded away half of the other draft picks.
And he doesn't develop.
Do you know how much better this team would be with Matt Barzal? Not even, fuck it. Don't even worry about the other two people. Just one, Matt Barzal. Do you know how much better that team would be?
Yeah,
how much better this team would be if they didn't have Trent Frederick and they had Alex DeBrincat? There is a unfathomable amount of mistakes that they've made in the draft. They fucking traded away the 5th round pick in the draft for Kirill Kaprizov for a 5th rounder in the next year. And you literally had the pick in your hands. All you had to do is say his name.
Say Kirill Kaprizov.
Like, there's just so many mistakes that Don Sweeney and the front office have made over the past almost decade that's led to this. And now we are suffering through it. The Bruins have no fucking talent in Providence to come up. And they have no young players. And you have to sign turds like Zadorov in free agency.
Yeah, and Riley Tufte and Max Jones. And you can't even do that thing.
It's
You know,
painful.
Peter Chiarelli was really the reason why they won the cup in 2011.
He
right?
was.
So since then, they get to the cup final in 13 under Chiarelli. And then in 19, they get there under Sweeney because they made some tweaks to a roster basically made of guys who Chiarelli had.
Yes.
And then here we are. Since then, the roster is deteriorated and deteriorating right now under Sweeney's watch. And there's no good present. There's no good future. And if we're going to keep going with it, we're going to try to scratch and claw our way to 90 points or whatever so we can get to the playoffs, then this is going to be rough.
What's that stupid fucking commercial where there's the huge tank of water and the water's coming out? The guy slaps that tape on it and all of a sudden it's sealed. There's no more water coming out.
Mm-hmm.
That's Don Sweeney. That giant jug of water spilling everywhere is the Bruins playoffs hopes every year. And that Flex Seal tape or whatever the hell it is his version of an NHL trade or signing to hope to God to keep this core alive.
Yeah.
He hasn't built a core himself. He's been trying to keep the core alive and put fringe players around it. And as soon as this core falls apart, he will be gone.
He'll be gone, and it'll be at 0.1, just like in 06. They'll be back to, Mike O'Connell, 06, in the dumpster.
I mean, to be honest with you, after this fucking backbreaking loss and us getting our asses kicked for the last month and a half with really crappy losses, you play 2 good games against the Florida teams. And then this. This should demand a trade. We already know that Sweeney's talking teams about trade. No matter what it is or how minuscule it is, you do something. You have to do something. If it's you're trading Johnny Beecher or a Joden Osterley somewhere, and you're trading just a minuscule player off the roster, something. Send the message.
Beth Lang with an interesting statement. We might squeeze into the playoffs. I think that's the problem, Beth, is that the we might squeeze in there is going to hold this team off from making any real move, and it's going to make it worse, in my opinion. Like, they almost have to say, you know what, it's not good enough regardless, which they won't, but it's not good enough regardless. Like other franchises would, like Lou Lamoriello would not be dealing with this. Like, there's guys in the Pat Quinn and guys who've done this in the past.
Lou Lamoriello is. The Islanders are sucking right now, and they have.
But back in the day when he was with the Devils, he fired Claude Julien during a cup run because he knew it wasn't good enough. So he knew it wasn't good enough. But this, it speaks to the management style, the ownership style. Like, the ownership is basically an absentee ownership. Like, they don't come around much. They come around when they need to. They show their face. They've spent money. I mean, they spend to the cap. They allow Sweeney to do that. Now, they wanted the cap 1,000% because they knew it was a competitive advantage for them. So they wanted it. But they spend to the cap. They spend that type of money. But they're absentee. So basically, they say to Don Sweeney and Cam Neely, get us to the playoffs and some ticket gates, and you'll be fine. And Charlie Jacobs came out just a few days ago and said how glowingly, how he had every confidence in them that they were going to do what it took and that they would make the right moves. So they're not going anywhere. So this is really scary at this point. Really scary.
Yeah, I mean, we won't go too far into it because I know we're going to talk about this, or you and Smitty will on the upcoming episode. But as Sweeney said, not Don Sweeney, Cam Neely said, there's 2 paths that they're preparing for, and it's adding some pieces at the trade deadline for a playoff run or preparing for a retool. And sorry, buddy, but this roster's needed a retool since maybe hour 3 of the season. I mean, it's not been a great year overall. It's just been continuing to cascade with McAvoy being out on the back end right now. Yes, we won a great game against the Lightning with him out, but that's going to be a gap in the lineup that'll be glaring over time. You can't hope to continue to play well with him out of the lineup. And I know this can be hindsight, but with a player like him in the lineup, maybe you don't lose tonight's game.
Mm-hmm. Maybe, maybe not.
These type of injuries
that's true.
Do play a big impact.
If you have McAvoy and Lindholm, you probably
for Christ's sake, Zadorov played 25 fucking minutes.
I know he did. And the Zadorov
and he Carlo spent 2 minutes in the penalty box.
A Zadorov Carlo pairing, not in the cards. Not in the cards. Don't do that again, please. I don't give a shit who you have to put in there. Put in Michael
watching
Callahan.
Two blind people play chess.
Like, please do not put them in there together. That's just asking for trouble. Taz 24. Coyle is playing like someone that doesn't want to be there. He just looks slow. And he's not making the same types of plays. He's not as good defensively as he was, because he was a pretty good defensive center. He's not as great possessing the puck because he can't get to it half the time because he just looks slow. So I don't look, he's 32 years old. He had a career year, his 31-year age year. Like, that doesn't happen. So you were already you were playing, that was house money. But now that money's gone and you're paying your own money. And it's time. I tell you, that's the guy I would call around the league for and see what we can get the best deal for right now. Because I don't think it would hurt you all that much. I don't think it would be the difference between making and missing the playoffs, not having him. And you could wipe yourself for that money. Get a young player that needs something. Get a young player and a pick.
You already have 3 players that can do what Charlie Coyle can do to some extent. I mean, Matthew Poitras is probably a little bit more offensively skilled version of Charlie Coyle, in the long run overall. Trent Frederick is somebody who can play that role. Fuck, Morgan Geekie can play that role. Mm-hmm. The Bruins have a plethora of the same type of player.
Yeah.
And I have been extremely hard on Charlie Coyle for years for making $5.25 million on that third line and being an absolute ankle weight.
Yeah, it's been palatable. It was palatable when he was 60 points, but now, I mean,
but that was a gotcha. That was a complete one-off in my opinion.
Goals.
Yes,
fool's gold. Here's the other thing: if you sign Brazo and Geekie, let's say you extend those 2 guys because they're having pretty good years, you're basically running it back.
Correct.
I mean, who else you get? Who else you getting rid of? Like, you're basically running it back because all the other guys are signed. So you're going to run it back if you keep Geekie and Brazo and Frederick. You're running the thing back. And it's not good enough. Already.
For the most part, they did that this year. Like, let's be honest. They didn't add really anything of super impact. You can argue that the Lindholm and the Zadorov additions were, the big signings of the offseason. Sure, but you weren't adding impact players. You overpaid for role players.
Both guys. You outbid yourself for both guys.
Yes, and that's because there was a lack of. But in Boston, they expect the playoffs. You have to add something where I've said it that if Don Sweeney secretly had a plan where this next coming off season is where he's going to spend a shitload on the forward group, he's a genius because he established the goaltending in the defense and took care of that. They really don't have any business to do but low rye. And this offseason, they will have a piss load of cap space, and there will be plenty of forwards on the market who can make a difference on this team.
So do you think then that he talked the ownership into, I can get us to the playoffs, and then I can get us what we need the following year? Do you think he talked them into that?
Yes. If you go back and
that would make a lot of sense.
If you go back and listen to Jim Montgomery's conversations in like the first 10 games of the year, he had an interview where he basically said, Sweeney's a really smart guy. We spent a lot of time talking this offseason. And, what I really admire about him is he's very well thought. He has a plan. Like, he has a vision, and he shared with me the vision and the plan, and I understand it. I'm bought in. Like, that screamed to me on top of the, hey, I know that this roster's incomplete. That screamed to me that, this was the only things that I could do this offseason. So I'm going to do that and add Zadorov and add Lindholm. So I get a 2-way center to come in here. And next offseason, I'm going to have a ton of cap space, and the cap could potentially even go up an extra $5 million from what we expected.
And you could dump Coyle in
And
the offseason.
you could dump Coyle, which would give you another $5 million in space, and you would have at that point, because I think the Bruins will have $21 million in space. If they dump Coyle and there's an extra $5 million in board, you'll have $30 million to go spend on the front end of your roster.
Okay, all right. So if that's the plan,
I mean, if you can
then at least that's the plan.
If you can replace Brad Marchand with somebody like a Mitch Marner or a Mikko Rantanen and spend a big chunk of money on that player, maybe Don Sweeney's the fucking brilliant Harvard guy who we mentioned, but that's also gambling like a motherfucker that those players are going to make it to UFA and they're even going to want to play here after watching the shit show that happened.
Or they're going to succeed in a place like Boston. Like, that's the other thing. I mean, are we going to be up Mikko Rantanen's ass because he's not playing hard half the time? Or is Mitch Marner going to be bitching and moaning about the Boston media? Like, I know he's playing in Toronto, but there's been issues there. Like, that's the other thing. I mean, the grass is always greener thing is great until it isn't.
Yeah.
So you don't know if those guys would, mesh too. I don't know. I mean, if that's the plan, then fine. And at least there's a plan.
Yeah. I mean, but if I was the GM, think about it. You can get rid of or walk away from your captain and Brad Marchand this offseason. Just let him go. And you can sign a player who's a superstar in the league to replace him with. I would do that. I would do that. If you're going to lose that player or trade that player, whatever, if you can replace him with somebody that good, you're probably not going to take a ton of heat from the team or the fan base.
I mean, Marner and Rantanen are better than anybody you probably have right now.
Yeah. So I mean, outside of Pastrnak when he's on,
Right. I mean, if you could put Rantanen with Pastrnak, that's a good line.
But here's the problem. None of them are good centers.
No.
They're all in the wing. And one of the things that I told you guys last week when we were watching one of these games together is we haven't had a dynamic duo like the Bergevin and the Marchand type. And that's been a problem. Like, Florida can roll out their two best players on the ice together in any situation. And all the Bruins have is good wingers. They really don't have a good center.
No, they don't. And this leads into this comment by Katie, which is a good one. That's why she teaches children. Going to succeed without talent of Makar, McKinnon, Matthews, etc., meaning Marner and Rantanen. It's a good point. It's a good point. I mean, we've seen it with Rickard Rakell has scored 20 some odd goals this year for the Penguins playing with Sid. It's a factor. It's a factor. You put Marner out here with a shitty center.
Look at Jake DeBrusk this year. He's lighting it up. He's playing with top tier talent.
Yep.
And you know what? If the Bruins are struggling offensively, bring in some fucking top tier talent and maybe people will start to put up points.
I'll tell you what, I'd give it a
high
go.
Tide raises all ships.
I'd give it a go with Patra, Rantanen, and Pastrnak. I'd give that a go. Because I don't think you have anybody who has Patra's skill set at the center offensively.
You know what? I would honestly leave the Geeky, Zacha, and Pastrnak line together if they keep Geeky.
As like a second line?
Yeah, if they can continue to have, that chemistry and produce. Sure. Pastra's doing okay right now.
Yeah.
And then you can supplant that, bring in one of those top line players to play with Patra and Lysell.
Somebody. Yeah, sure.
Now you're cooking with some house money and you've got two cheap players on your top line. You could probably add two significant players in the offseason. But the Bruins refuse to take an easy out and let some of these players play in their lineup and save them some money so they can spend it elsewhere.
Right. Sherry Radway, tonight was stressful for me. I'm a Sens fan at heart, but the Bruins are a team I also cheer and follow closely. It was a tough season, Sherry. Happy my Sens won, but sad the Bruins lost the way they did. Sherry, thanks for checking in and watching. We appreciate it.
Man, the Linus Ullmark trade must have been really conflicting for Sherry.
That must have been. At least he stayed in the family, kept it in the family. Sherry. Let's see, Katie. Avalanche game next weekend is going to be horrific. They're dismantling the Stars 6-2 right now. Yeah, the Avalanche are still a scary squad.
And they've got a lot of injuries too.
They did, and they've had a lot of injuries throughout the year,
all season long, and they've managed to stay in the hunt. It's That's what you get when you build a good core of players. They have a good core, period.
Rude Boy LFC. I watched 4 Bruins players standing in front of the goalie. No one tried to close the puck down, and that's how the Senators scored their 5th goal. The team is an absolute disgrace. Yeah, that last goal to tie it was a team that looked like they were hoping to God that the time would run out. Like, that's what it looked like. That they were just waiting for the buzzer to sound and survive it.
Like everybody in the Garden loves. They were living on a prayer, baby.
They were. They were. I certainly hope that Swayman doesn't reach Rask level. Too many goals are going in already, says Secret 22,000. Well, I'll tell you, Rask is far better than Swayman ever was. Let's see. Charlie doesn't seem to be good with puck most games either, says Y2 Jones. Yeah, McAvoy's another one who the Bruins haven't gotten the best out of him for a couple of years now. For the most part, there's been times when he's been good, but very inconsistent. And again, core member, making big money, a lot of years. How much of an edge does this team have, the desire, to win? And you have to really question that.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you can't gauge on the score sheet. That's definitely in the eye test range. And I think that we're starting to see that here. I'm just hoping that with all this stuff that's happening, we all know in Boston that the Bruins media is eventually going to turn on the team in a really bad way. Yeah. And it's going to go south.
It's going to go south.
So my hope
all the dirt's going to
is that Sweeney makes his moves in a timely fashion to spare us from what's happening in Vancouver, where JT Miller is coming out and getting asked why he's getting his ice time cut. He goes, I don't know.
Yeah.
Next question.
And then Tuckett says, bad things happen when he's on the ice. So then you get into that little fist fight and all that, and it's not good. And look, the 4 Nations thing, and we'll talk about it in the episode, is a whole other thing, whole other can of worms, where your general manager is working on Team Canada for some fracacta tournament that they made up, some money grab tournament that nobody gives a rat's ass about. Like, I don't care.
Do you want to know
Team USA wins the 4 Nations tournament? What does that even matter?
When I pulled up Brad Marchand's information and statistics from the NHL on his page, he's got a cute little like 4 Nations tournament emblem.
Yeah, because he can't wait to play with his buddy.
I'm not sure that you guys will be able to see this. Maybe you can. See that emblem right there?
Yeah.
4 Nations.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. It's not the Bruins.
Nope, not the Bruins. It's actually 3 to 4 times the size of the Bruins emblem on that page. So, yeah, sure. The 4 Nations is going to be great. Actually, you know what? Son of a bitch. Spoiler alert. Connor didn't get to watch all the game today, so I was having to listen to some of the game on my drive. And lo and behold, on, 93.7 EEI, whatever the Bruins game is on.
98.5 the Sports Hub.
98.5 Sports Hub. Yeah. I was listening to the game, and they have an ad for the 4 Nations tournament.
Yeah.
Have you heard it?
Yeah, I've heard it.
So here's my thing. They mentioned 2 players, but there's a third of the Bruins in the 4 Nations face-off that they did not mention. They say Boston Bruins, Brad Marchand for Team Canada, and Charlie McAvoy for the U.S. team. No mention of Jeremy Swayman, which I thought was interesting. Maybe it's just because they wanted a 1-for-1 for a little bit of symmetry.
Yeah, maybe it was symmetry, right.
I thought that was a little bit interesting that he's a forethought in that regard. And I was going to ask you today on the show, do you think that he's the 3rd best player out of those 3 players? If you had to start bench cut, Charlie McAvoy, Jeremy Swayman, and Brad Marchand.
Yes.
You think he's the 3rd best?
Right now, at this stage in their career, I'd still go McAvoy, Marchand, Swayman.
Interesting.
I think I would. I mean, that could change in a couple weeks, month, whatever. But right now, I'd still go McAvoy, Marchand, whole body of work. McAvoy, Marchand, Swayman.
Interesting. I'm going to text Smitty while he's at dinner with his wife and undisclosed other people. And I'm going to say, Smitty, for the pod, start bench cut. Here we go. So hopefully
we're usually on the same page. I'd be interested to see if we're on the same page here. Marchand is not good enough right now to play for Team Canada. That's correct, Hugh Fraser, but it's one of those legacy picks. McAvoy isn't good enough and hurt. And Smitty said it all along. He thought John Carlson should be the guy. And right now, with him being hurt, he should be resting for those 2 weeks. Yeah. I mean, why rush to play the Four Nations tournament? Like, I'm sorry, dude.
I think they're already talking about it.
They have to be. They have to be.
I think I sent you guys the snippet from a Pierre LeBrun interview he did with Don Sweeney, where he kind of alluded to, some players are going to get injured and not be able to make it. And he said, hey, look at Charlie McAvoy. He's beat up right now and he's hurt. He's trying to get back for the Four Nations tournament, and he might not. So maybe they're already having those conversations of, hey, man, you might not be able to play. Maybe that's why he bailed to begin with.
Sure.
He had been playing with his wrist wrapped. Maybe he finally bailed and said, I need to take time off because all I want is to play in the Four Nations. I think that you should throw him immediately to the cheapest buyer if that's the case, but maybe it is. Like that would piss me off so bad.
Yes.
If they came out and said that he gave up on regular season Bruins games for the team that pays his fucking check
so they could rest,
play in the Four Nations.
Yeah, to rest for Four Nations. I wonder if that had any part of it, played a part in it. And just battle through and get to the break and take the rest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean I don't know.
It's a good question. It's a good question.
And the Jacobs family, Matty. That they want their boys to play in their arena and put asses in seats and sell some fucking beers and popcorn.
Yes, so they probably said, you know what? It's worth it to sit McAvoy, make sure he's healthy, plays in that tournament so that we get people coming to those games. Yes, already they're having some trouble, I heard, with some seats, some tickets, and some filling the place. So,
yeah. I mean,
there's questions about that already, so it's a valid point. And it's like the NBA in-season tourney, Jonesy. You're absolutely right. It doesn't mean a thing.
Not a fucking thing.
It doesn't mean a thing. It doesn't. 20 years from now, look back at the Four Nations tournament. There's only Four Nations in it, number one. It's in the name. There's only Four Nations in it. You're beating 3 other nations. Not how many nations are there? 190 or something? Or 302? Or I don't know.
A lot.
For God's sakes. Like, it's 4 nations. Oh, boy. All right. Hey, thanks, everyone, for checking in, listening today, watching on YouTube. Our latest episode is out on all the platforms and on YouTube. Check that out. We'll be dropping another episode Thursday morning, but we'll be back at it Monday afternoon after San Jose comes to TD Garden. Again, Bruins lose at 6-5. Matinee. The dreaded matinee. Bruins lose at 6-5 in a shootout. Virtual tie with Ottawa. Out of a playoff spot right now as we speak. We'll see you Monday. Go Bruins.
And as Smitty would say, bye-bye.